World Network. And today's topic is FOMO, also known as fear of missing out. So there's so much in the world for us to be taking advantage of. And the inclination is to want to do it all. And let's just talk about all the dynamics around that and how we can create better sense of calm and peace for ourselves. But before we get started, let's just take a minute or two to settle in and get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen, pure oxygen flowing into your lungs, flooding your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, and bringing vital life energy throughout your body. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, any fatigue, stress, negativity. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant bright light lighting you up, illuminating you, energizing you, electrifying you from the inside out. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining fatigue, tension, stress, negativity. And now let's just gently press our palms together very softly. Rub your fingers against your palms and allow your fingertips to feel the tickling sensation and feel that tickling and tingling in your palms and allow yourselves to become present right here, right now. So, welcome, welcome. It's great to be here with you today. Thank you so much for joining me and Maggie. And we are talking. Good morning, Irma. Good to have you here, as always. So, we're talking about fear of missing out. And I think that this notion of something's going to happen and I'm going to miss it, or I want to take advantage of everything, drives behaviors like kind of an addiction to Facebook, having to see what's going on there all the time, or other social media, or even the news. People who are kind of addicted to the news to see what's happening so that they don't miss what's happening in the world, or they don't lose track of what's going on, or people that sign up for every course that comes along, every seminar, every podcast, every webinar, because there's so much available. And I think that what is at the root of that, possibly that behavior, may be a lack of security in ourselves, a lack of like trying to fill ourselves up with things that are external. And I'm really eager to have your feedback on that, as to whether you agree, if you see that dynamic at play, if that makes any sense to you. I know for me, there are so many things I'm interested in. And we've been talking this week about our time, self-love, prioritizing our activities, where we're investing our time and attention. And so this is really a further conversation around that, to say, well, what is this fear of missing out, and what are we dedicating our time and attention to? And the thing I can see happening easily with so many resources available to us all the time is that we can very easily end up overscheduling ourselves, uh, overextending ourselves, to be running this marathon to try and receive everything there is to receive. And so Irma says, looking for something to fill me or complete me from the outside, like I would be broken or incomplete. Exactly, Irma. Not trusting my own needs, wants, and wisdom. Exactly. So, it's kind of like looking to an outside authority for our inner direction. We can't, good morning, Rosalind. Great, great, great to have you here. And Rosalind says, I am. Exactly. Like we are sufficient. This is kind of the theme for the week is we are sufficient in and of ourselves. And in choosing the external inputs that we choose, we get to evaluate the benefits of those things. What I notice is that in so many situations, we do look for outside authority or validation. I have to watch the news because I have to be up on what's going on in the world. And good morning, Robert. Welcome, welcome. It's great to have you here. As if watching the news is going to have us be up on what's happening in the world. It will help us perhaps be up on what the current messaging is about what's going on in the world, but it's by no means comprehensive. And so part of this fear of missing out, that drives us into these sometimes compulsive behaviors, I think, is maybe a feeling of a lack of safety. Maybe a feeling of being at the effect of the world rather than at the helm of our destiny, of our own ship. And so we're looking for outside confirmation, as you said, Irma, like not really something to complete us from the outside, like we're not complete in and of ourselves, for example. And good morning, Elaine. Wonderful to have you here. So, yeah, we're talking about fear of missing out and how that may generate from a sense of insecurity, a sense of either personal insecurity in terms of self worth and value, or also in terms of feeling unsafe and believing somehow that more information, more input is going to complete us, make us whole, give us more safety. We'll be able to navigate. If we have more information, we'll be able to navigate better. So Shelley says, this is such an important topic. I didn't think I had FOMO because I don't watch the news or get sucked into Facebook, but I do sign up for all the trainings thinking I'll get something I don't have. Exactly. Exactly. I think, I'm not a Facebook junkie or a news junkie, but I have been definitely a training and transformation junkie in my life. And signing up for all these different things because maybe I'll learn something more, or maybe I'll get additional insight, or on and on. It's like trying to fill ourselves up with externalities. Good morning, Isabel. How great to have you back. Welcome, welcome. And Rosalind says, my profession doesn't require writing books per se. But if my productivity requires writing, then at what point does researching books to support footnotes or outside validation start to hinder the outcome if the outcome is to talk? Beautiful, beautiful. So, this is a perfect example of FOMO, I think, that um, and I had a training center for 18 years where I taught Adobe software, design software like Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, etc. I actually wrote 2 books on InDesign, and which is a professional layout software for books and um, all kinds of professional documents. It's like Word on steroids. So in doing this training, teaching, I was always studying. And at a point, it's like, when is enough enough? And this is something that has been the theme this week, like, when do we feel sufficient? When do we feel adequate? When is enough enough in terms of references in your book? How much training do I need before I can consider that I'm capable to then be teaching others? So like in this venue, for instance, particularly consider myself um, a- an expert. I mean, I have been through lots and lots of experiences, and I have a lot of perspective on things, but life is an ongoing exploration, and I don't consider that I have arrived. I don't know that there is such a place as having arrived. However, I recognize that over time I've gained a greater sense of my own awareness and my sufficiency, my knowing, my capacity to figure things out, so that I don't need to be feeding that fuel so much to find my security in taking more and more courses, because it's not the courses that leads to security. I know people who have had lots more training, or taken many more trainings, um, but they're than I have, but they're not implementing their knowing, because they're not confident in and of themselves to be able to then step into their ownership, their power, their knowing, their wisdom, their expression. And so we do look at these externalities to try and compensate for this lack of sense of safety or security or confidence that's internal. So Shelley laughed here, and Irma says, learning in school and society that I needed to know more to have value or human weight. Exactly. It's craziness, that, there are certain conversations where, you want to be able to have a knowledge base, you want to be able to have some experience, but just because you don't know something doesn't mean that you are worth less than somebody who knows that thing. They just know that thing. Or certain things. That doesn't make you more valuable. Maybe in a certain context, like if somebody knows survival techniques and we're in a place where we are our survival's threatened, certainly what that person knows is really, really valuable in that moment, and more valuable than my not knowing for that particular context. But overall, as human beings, we are sufficient in and of ourselves. And when we're pursuing knowing because we have a passion for it, when we have a passion to learn something and understand more about it, that's very different than feeling compelled to learn something because we're trying to compensate for an experience of inadequacy. So so let's see. I have to back up here. Good morning, Andrea. Welcome, welcome. Great to have you here. And Rosalind says, outcome is to talk about something new or new insight, how much existing outside docs serve to write. Well, that's an interesting thought. Exactly. So in your writing, Rosalind, you're talking about, I'm going to do all this research, but I'm writing something new. So how much of the old stuff do I need to reference in order to validate or bolster or back up or whatever the new stuff that you're generating? That's a really good question. I think maybe people tend to um, assign value, as you said, Irma, assign value based on our knowledge, right? If we show that we have some reference point that we drew from, somehow that lends more credibility to what we're saying. And there are certain arenas where that's more true than others. Certainly if we're in the realm of science, we're going to want to be referencing other kinds of foundational principles, I imagine. And Shelley, this is Maggie. She's a green cheek conure, and she's the star of the show, obviously. Anyway, thank you for asking, Shelley. And Robert says, true, I used to join many free webinars to gain a bit more knowledge in different areas and then use the info to connect the dots with what I already know. Exactly. And so you were using these other webinars to connect the dots and also validate, perhaps. And, you know, um, there's a lot of ego that we attach to all kinds of externalities, like we presume if we're making, and not everybody obviously, but if we make more money it means we're better somehow, or we're more intelligent, or rather than we're more fortunate, or I remember having these conversations regularly with my dad, who was a veterinarian, who was a go-getter, and he also had uh, the good fortune. Oh my gosh, guys, I don't know why, but Restream just now stopped and is requiring me to sign in, which is pretty messed up in midstream here. So let me see if I can do that. I have to actually go find passwords in order to do that. I'm sorry for the disruption here. Just maybe I can keep going a minute, because I want to be able to continue this conversation since it's getting to be pretty lively in a wonderful way. So just give me a second here. I'm going to find my Restream login. I've never had that happen before. Uh, all right, we're catching up. Hold on, almost there. And hold on 1 second. We're getting closer. That's so odd that it would do that mid-session, don't you think? Almost there. And now it wants me to pick out fire hydrants to make sure that I'm a human here. And okay, apparently now I need to pick out buses. This is crazy, right? Sorry about that, guys. And it's giving me a really hard time. And there's a bus. Okay. Here we go, loading, and we're back. Sorry about that. We are back. All right. So thanks for your patience. This Restream service is a really cool thing. It allows us to be getting collating comments from a bunch of different venues. So that's pretty cool. But every now and then, technology. So um, let's get back to this notion of fear of missing out. And you know I think it creates a lot of stress for people. I know that when I was getting trained, because I didn't feel like I was credentialed enough. I didn't feel I essentially didn't have confidence in my ability at that time. This was years ago, thankfully, but I was doing all these different trainings and taking all these different courses, and 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 getting all this different coaching, and even with all that, I still didn't feel adequate. And I don't know where it changed exactly. I'm not certain exactly where it changed, but I set a really clear intention, and I did a lot of personal growth work, and got to the point where I recognized, you know what, I do have, I am competent. I do have very specific skill sets, that are my strengths and gifts, and uh, really stepped into ownership for that. And now, there are trainings that I'm interested in. There's so much that I'm interested in. The thing is that there's too much that I'm interested in, and there's no way I can do it all. And so I am much more discerning about where I'm going to put my time and energy, and becoming even more so. And even if I would rather spend 4 hours in a bath than be on two webinars or whatever that are going to teach me something more. You know, there's a point beyond which, I mean, I love to learn, I'm always learning. And there's a point beyond which I'm willing to drive myself anymore. And I think that that's an important line for each of us to draw, to say, you know what, the things that I need, the things that are for my highest good are going to come to me, and I'll be able to take advantage of them. And I don't have to stress and push and struggle to consume everything, you know. And so this is tying in with the FOMO thing, with literally a consumer kind of mentality. Why, if we think about consumerism, what is it about? You know, it's like that next shiny thing is going to make me happy, you know, or I attaching beyond the basics, you know, food, shelter, clothing, at least enough to stay warm and safe, etc. But we can take all of those things to extremes, right? Where there's gluttony with food, where there's shopaholic syndrome with shopping, and on, even with courses in personal growth and transformation. You know, when we get to a place where we're in alignment, I believe that there is a lesser need um, for external validation, whether it be through things or training or ideas. I'm not saying to be isolationist here. There's certainly a balance. And like I said, I have a perpetual commitment to growth. However, not like a compulsion. So I guess one of the questions we get to look at is, where do we draw the line between compulsion and and passion? And this is really strange, guys, but I want to let you know that I haven't seen any new messages. So I don't know, even though I was able to reboot, restream, I don't know if you're, uh, if I'm getting live messages anymore, or if we ended up somehow getting disconnected. I don't know how that worked, because I'm not seeing anybody commenting anything. So if I'm not responding, it's not because I'm ignoring you, it's because I don't see the comments. So anyway, uh, so I think we get to look at what is our motivation. Like I know that, for instance, I will sign up for webinars that are things of interest to me that sometimes I know I can't attend because of a so I'm sorry, Irma just texted me. Thank you, Irma, saying there are messages still coming. I just can't see them. So I'm kind of flying blind here. I apologize for that, because I really would love to be communicating with you. Maybe I'm not even going to have time right after to follow up with your messages, but I will read them, and I appreciate them. So, you know, keep them coming. I'll read them after after the broadcast. Um, so anyway, it's interesting to recognize, you know, why am I signing up for this course? And what I was saying is, I'll sign up sometimes for webinars knowing that I can't attend them, because then I think I'll be able to go watch the replay. I have such a backlog of replays and things that I no, I'm never going to go back and listen to. And you know what? This attitude, or this whatever the underlying dynamic here, is kind of the same thing about saving stuff, or not decluttering. And like, I have things that I say I keep because someday I may use them. And the thing is that that's actually happened, where I have art supplies from 25 years ago, more than that. And, I saved them for all this time thinking I might reuse them. And now I'm using some of them. So, I wonder where wanting to expand, wanting to encompass all of these things, to be engaged in all of these things, and all of these activities and thoughts and learning. And there's so much. And I really, really, really am getting getting a deeper experience of the value of simplifying and decluttering, not just in space, but in time, and decluttering the things don't that aren't really essential. And there is some power and freedom and liberation in making those conscious and deliberate decisions to say, you know what, I don't, I'm choosing not to do that now. I don't need that now, because I am already full, and there is it would stress me more than it would contribute to me. And I choose to know that I'm sufficient. So with that thought, I do have a 9:30 appointment, a good appointment, no worries. And so I'm going to run, but I want to thank you all for being here. I wish I had been able to see all your comments. I will read them, I promise. And I thank you so much for engaging with me in these morning musings with me and Maggie. And until next time, I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live each weekday morning on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page. Please uh, go and check out the wonderful community on Enlightened World Network, and the awesome programming. And I just want to say thank you, blessings, and pay attention to your alignment with yourself, and make your decisions about what kinds of activities you're going to take on from that place of alignment and wholeness. Lots and lots of love. Until next time.